This is the Bureau of Lost Culture, and I'm Stephen Coates. They range from the darkest bogeymen of countercultural nightmares, Charles Manson, Jim Jones, David Koresh, Marshall Applewhite, the Reverend Moon, to bodhisattva-like figures devoted to the good of others, and include outright charlatans, narcissistic psychopaths, deluded prophets, and some genuine gurus. Since the 1950s, and probably a lot earlier if you include the likes of Madame Blavatsky, Gurdjieff, and Aleister Crowley, certain charismatic individuals have taken it upon themselves to collect others around them in what we refer to as cults. My guest today has spent over 20 years not only studying them, but soundtracking them. Before we meet him and head off in search of the age of Aquarius, I'd like to say thanks to Stephen D, Chris, Ronnie, Nigel and Lauren who wrote to me this month with suggestions and their thoughts. Join them and all the others who get our bulletin, bureauoflostculture.com. We're hell-bent on building an oral history of the counterculture, an impossible task I know, but one which is great fun and will benefit greatly from any help you can offer. You can just tell a friend about the show, leave us a review or a bequest. Come and join our cult. So let's get to it. Artist, broadcaster, archivist MICAH Moses has hosted a weekly terrestrial radio show on Tuesday nights on New Jersey's WFMU for over a decade. It's an exploration into the musical output of cults, new religious movements, and individuals of a spiritually inspired and divine nature. MICAH came to the Bureau to talk about it, to talk about cults, talk about the New Age ideas that many of them emerge from. His radio show is an extraordinary thing, and this episode of the Bureau contains a selection of sounds he has plucked from the vast archive he's gathered over the years. He's here ahead of his exhibition, God Body, around the theme of the New Age, which will show in London at the Horse Hospital in September. That's if you're listening in 2023. Details of that in the show notes. But for now, welcome, MICAH.
Hello. Thanks. Glad to be here.
Well, that word culture, and of course counterculture, it's got the syllable right in the middle of it, cult. What does it mean?
We've created this sort of artificial construct out of it that has all these connotations, mostly negative connotations. But if you go back to the origin of the word, it just means a small gathering of like-minded individuals who have a religious or spiritual affiliation in something that's not widely recognized.
I actually did a bit of digging myself to see where the derivation of the word is, and it's came from Latin, of course, like many of our words, but it seemed to just really be about worship or even honor, and even has this sense of inhabiting something. I mean, there was a cult in London back in the Roman times. They discovered the remnants of it in the Temple of Mithras. But the cult of Mithras, it was just sort of common old garden centurion's cult. The bull god, they did obviously have particular rituals and gathered, and they had secret knowledge. And that seems to be a bit part of it too, doesn't it? Or certainly our associations with it, that there's something or somebody to worship. And then there's some secret or occult knowledge which those who are in the know have got access to.
Yeah, the phenomenon is as old as humanity itself in its quest to understand reason for our existence, why things are the way they are. There will always be some kind of cult or culture around whatever type of cosmology or mythology that appeals to a certain group of people. Cult of Mithras is one of the earlier known spiritual affiliations of Western history, but go back earlier, you'll find probably thousands preceded or even informed the cult of Mithras.
When it comes to religious associations, I can't imagine anybody saying, I'm part of a cult. I mean, you might want to sort of say, I'm in a cult band, or that director's a cult movie director. But I mean, nobody's going to say, I'm a proud member of a cult, are they?
Well, I've noticed that some of the more self-aware spiritual organization use that term with honor, like, oh, this is a cult, you know.
It's being reclaimed.
Yeah, I think that the term sort of evolved sometime in the mid 20th century when suddenly there was a rash of these new spiritual organizations, turned people away from the more traditional Abrahamic acceptable forms of worship. Of course, in the 60s, you had the rise of some of the new emergent spiritual organizations, and that's when all the so-called mind control became in vogue. Probably the Moonies, at least here in the US, was when the whole mind control thing started to become more cognizant in the culture.
I think we should come back to that. But when you were talking then, I was thinking there is actually something fundamentally countercultural about a cult. Those who form or join one, they are doing it in kind of opposition to the mainstream culture.
Well, usually in these things, there is the concept that most of humanity don't know the truth except us. We are the few, the select, the marginalized that has a claim on what's really going on beneath the surface. The rest of those rubes, uneducated
sheeple.
Yeah, the sheeple, they're still worshiping that dead dogma. So yes, that's the countercultural aspect, that whatever group is being spoken of, they have the rare insight into the inner workings of cosmic circumstance.
We've dived right in and we're going to circle back to this stuff, but I want to take you back to the beginning for you. First of all, Micah, you're an artist, broadcaster, but what's this obsession? You've got this, I suppose we call it an OCD obsession with cults. In fact, your radio show has become a cult in itself. So you are, in some sense, been caught by your own obsession. You are now, in fact, the leader of a cult. Tell us what went wrong.
Well, it's funny. The whole evolution of this project started probably about 20 years ago when I was involved in emerging technologies. This whole concept of transhumanism, that we can alter our bodies, make choices about our whole biological destiny with these new emerging technologies. So what I ultimately started playing around with was this idea of like a transhumanist cult, basically a fake cult. I made a propaganda film and it was attached to a biofeedback device so that when you watched it, it would register how you reacted to certain things. And so I went out and I hired an actress to be my assistant, and we did public outreach. The idea was that I was going to keep this up. It was going to be sort of like a ongoing performance art thing, but I just didn't have the manpower and the stamina to keep it going. However, all the research that I did going into it just ignited my fascination. I was also doing a freeform radio show at the same time, so that the two interests kind of merged. And out of that came Music of Mind Control.
10 years of that on an hour-long program, weekly. I mean, that's an awful lot of cult music, isn't it? I mean, that's the first extraordinary thing is that there is so much. I mean, obviously you put it into context, so partly it's you as well, but...
Yeah, well, the show has expanded thematically in that just any kind of music that's associated with any kind of mystical research or individuals that have a mystical practice and a musical practice. Anything basically that I can tell a story about that is within this spectrum of cult or occult or spiritual orientation.
I've also said, I mean, in listening to it, it's apparent that a lots of things that appear, do offend common good taste, in the sense that some of them are genuinely terrible, right? I mean, the point of view is not to sort of curate this kind of beautiful, listenable, collectible set of music, but it's to give the sort of the whole gamut, right? And some of it is genuinely dire.
No, we get our hands very dirty on the music of mind control. Probably some of the most ear-piercingly awful sounds you will ever experience are played on the program.
I thought we could soundtrack what we're talking about just kind of randomly with some of your picks from the show down the years. And one of the things that you chose was very odd. And it's from the Buddhist incarnated living tulku, meaning somebody who's been reincarnated, Jetsunama Akan Lamo. And she set up the largest Buddhist monastery in America, although she's from Brooklyn.
Yes.
But tell us about her and tell us about this track, Big Stinky. Doesn't sound particularly New Age.
No, it's not. So Jetsun Ma, she was a Buddhist cult leader from Maryland. She did proclaim herself the living Tulku, reincarnation of the ancient divine Buddha. And she had a very lavish lifestyle. She lived in this glorious mansion while her followers were basically sleeping on mats in filthy households. She apparently cussed like a sailor. She still does. I don't know if she's still the leader of the cult. She has apparently a very dirty potty mouth, loves ordering her disciples around, making them go shop for her or give her manicures.
And this song, Big Stinky, it doesn't sound like it comes straight from the depths of the Tibetan plateau.
Not exactly. So I think in the early part of the 21st century, Jetsunma decided she wanted to become a blues singer. So she started recording a series of CDs backed by, I guess, her disciples. And she has the most ear-piercingly awful singing voice one could imagine. And she does a song called Big Stinky about, I guess, her imagined lover with a body odor problems.
I am making noises.
Do all cults, do all religious movements have music, have soundtracks which they utilize somehow in the propagation of their ideas?
To a certain degree, yes, but not all of it is available. I would say what I've played on the program is only a very small percent of the music that it has been produced by cults. It's just that a lot of it either isn't recorded, not available to the public, or just sort of in the background there. There was a time, most in the 1970s, when there was more of an interest that a lot of the spiritual centers would record a devotional album or two. That was sort of like the thing. And from that time, there is a plethora of collectibles. And since then, it's just sort of like a crapshoot. You have to research very, very deeply in order to find. And that's what I've been doing, just sort of scraping the barrel, beneath the barrel, whatever is below the subsurface of the barrel, to find some of these recordings and to research the groups themselves. It always feels like, well, this is it. There's nothing else I can possibly find. And then lo and behold,
sure,
I'll find something new.
You talk about the fact that the evangelical Christian cults do sort of co-opt the various musical styles, rock, country, of course, hip hop, even all sorts of other things. But back in the 70s, they seem to have done some rather beautiful folky stuff as well. Wonderful hippie folk. And you've got one here, this Karen Lafferty, Beautiful Day. Tell us about that.
So this is during the first wave of Christian contemporary rock that happened in the 1970s, 60s. Maranatha was an early Christian rock label that came out of Calvary Chapel, which was the first real mainstream megachurch that embraced the hippies, that brought hippies into the fold. Pastor Chuck Smith, who was an old school kind of established Christian preacher, had a meeting with the hippie preacher, Lonnie Frisbee, and realized that there's just a massive movement waiting to happen and also a lot of money to be made. And that's how the Maranatha label started. And a lot of beautiful, wonderful music was made during that time.
When I woke up this morning, I was thinking of where I've been, about the loves who'd come and gone away. I felt so sad and lonely. Would I ever find love again? Deep inside, a voice began to say, I will never leave you or forsake you. I am your father, and you are a child of mine. I am the maker, the creator of love, and I can take you to love you could never find. No one used to know God would rescue me and take me far away from this painful shore. In the shelter of his ship, I'll face the open sea. With the sun on my face on the good ship race, I am free. La 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 la. I will never leave you or forsake you. I am your father, and you are a child of mine. I am the maker, the creator of love, and I can take you to love you could never find. I come again to his rest, feel his love deep in my breast. Only Jesus comforts me this way.
The people who were coming of age decided that what worked for their parents doesn't work for them. There was a quest, a deep-seated hunger for some kind of spiritual foundation that incorporated and addressed more holistic issues. And something like Druidism, even Thelema became a big hit here.
Crowley's Thelema.
Yes.
You've said that, in the New Age, there's a lot of cliched sounds, shall we say, crystal bells and that sort of thing, and you tend to wisely eschew it from your show. But there are a couple of things that you've picked out because they're stranger in some way. And one of them is this one. It's by Sri Guru Dev Isha Mafu, a Kundalini color healing meditation. So why did you set this one aside?
So Mafu is an ancient spirit channeled by a housewife by the name of Jenny Torres. He's, I think, from Atlantis or Lemuria. It's essentially a Ramtha clone. So Ramtha is one of the more notorious channeled spirits that emerged in the 1970s, channeled by J.Z. Knight. And then Jenny Torres came around and invented Mafu, or I shouldn't say invented, I would say materialized Mafu, who is another ancient spirit from Lemuria, come to the 20th century to impart the secret knowledge. The color meditation, yeah, it's just so sonically wild, psychedelic and ethereal, where she goes into this ritual where she does this cleansing, or almost like an out-of-body experience, bathed in various rays of light informed by this prismatic spectrum from the sun.
And as you're breathing, you breathe to the count of in, 2, 3, 4, and out. 2, 3, 4, and in. 2. I am. The white light within me. I am self-contained. And I am healthy. I am the white light inside me. I am self-contained, and I am healthy. I am white light inside me. I am self-contained. I am healthy. I am white light inside me, and I begin to fill my root chakra with white, and I am self-contained, and I am pure. I am white light inside me. And I fill my navel chakra with white light. I am self-contained. And I am pure. I am the white light inside me. I feel my solar plexus.
Tell us about Jeremy Spencer and the children, Micah.
I am
So the children
self-contained.
of God, probably the most pernicious cult that came out of the 1960s, essentially a child abuse cult. They were in fact a child pornography ring disguised as a spiritual organization. David Berg was 100% pedophile, decided he was going to get the hippies into Jesus by making them prostitute for Christ. He got a lot of the female followers to raise money for him by prostituting themselves all along the West Coast, California. And it became an epiphenomenon. It was huge all throughout the 1970s. They had bases throughout the world where they would perform what was called flirty fishing, prostituting for Christ, raising thousands and millions of dollars so that Pastor David Berg could live in luxury. And the kids were victims of what he saw as the correct way to raise children, which was exposing them to all kinds of perverse sexual activity and ultimately doing very terrible things to their bodies and minds. And a lot of emotional, psychological fallout was came out of this cult. Many people have died as a result. And so Jeremy Spencer was an early member of the group Fleetwood Mac, left the group in order to join the Children of God, and he did this record with them.
Picture a prophet standing in the light of dawn with a message for the people given from above. But he lost his inspiration, wanting the glory for his own, leaving millions in starvation for the word they never known. Oh, why do you keep on speaking without my light? You once had the vision, but now you've lost your sight. Now the prophet thought he was the greatest one, and he just went right on talking as if he didn't know the light had gone. The scene looked almost funny, but people laughed at the foolishness till they discovered that they had nothing, was sitting in total darkness. Oh, why do you keep on speaking without my light? You once had the vision, but now you've lost your sight.
There are, and there were, lots of positive things which have come out of 50s, 60s, out of the New Age traditions. It's just that we don't call them cults now, whereas if they've got echoes of manipulation and exploitation, that's what we've become to call cults.
Something like yoga would not be such a cultural phenomenon in the West if it wasn't for the New Age spiritual foundation that incorporated and addressed more holistic issues. And something like the left-handed path religions, Wicca, Druidism, and so forth, definitely had that. Even Thelema.
Crowley's Thelema.
Yeah.
Also, there's all these other things going on, which I do associate more with the US, like the human potential movement, how psychology can improve your life. I associate that much more with America than here. It came here, of course, like the self-help movement did eventually.
A lot of the psychoanalysts and psychologists that started that did come from Europe. Abraham Maslow is attributed as the founder of the human potential movement, and I think he was a German Jew. The concepts originated in Europe, but the practice definitely took hold in the US and became massively popular amidst the sort of middle class, the jet set.
Americans monetized it.
Oh yeah, big time. There were such a plethora of human potential groups in the 1970s, mostly, with slight differences and different influences to reintegrate our consciousness with other people through direct contact, confrontation, and breaking open these taboos that we are conditioned to believe in that are just artificial.
So you've got things like S training where like people shout at you.
Yes.
And sort of break your personality down as a preparation for rebuilding it in a more ideal form.
And EST is the perfect example of a new age human potential organization or movement. Werner Erhard, the founder of EST, was deeply ensconced in Zen Buddhist ideas, this concept that we are responsible for the type of life that we live. As humans, our instinctive agenda is to point our finger at other people for the cause of our suffering. Whereas in Zen Buddhism, we are taught that we are responsible, that we can make choices about how we want to live. And he integrated that concept into this new format of the encounter group. And it was almost like a stroke of genius because it created this $1 million movement.
So you would pay quite a lot of money to be immersed in those ideas which had emerged from something which didn't cost any money.
A weekend seminar without bathroom breaks.
That sounds messy.
You had to hold it in. Otherwise, you would be castigated and expelled.
Sounds dangerous as well as messy.
There was a lot of emotional and physical fallout from the Est movement. Yeah.
It wouldn't be a complete conversation about cults in the countercultural years if it didn't involve a guru from the East. And one of your tunes is mind-bending, I think. It's by Saint Gurmeet Ram Rahim Singh Ji Insan. Tell us about him and about it.
So Saint Gurmeet, it was the leader of an Indian cult called Derasausha Sauda, branch line of Sikhism that is not widely recognized within the Sikh community because they focus more on the Sant Mat philosophy, which is essentially occultic Sikhism. This is where you meditate for extremely long periods of time and start disassociating. And it was discovered that he was forcing his male followers to castrate themselves. And he was getting into all kinds of fights with various Sikh groups. And I think he ordered a few hits, assassinations, and eventually wound up in prison. But before that, he did have a long and successful career as a Bollywood singer and actor. He was in a few Bollywood action movies.
You are my love chaser, you are my love chaser, you are the love chaser, you are the love chaser, you are the love chaser. You are Lord, God you Lord, you are the powerhouse Lord. Very, very tasty you are Lord. When goes it down, you charge it up with the law. So strong your power law. You are the love chaser, you are the love chaser, you are the love chaser. You are caretaker, you are love caretaker, you are love caretaker of the war.
And even though in your show, good taste is not one of the curatorial decisions that you use, some of the things are actually quite beautiful. And this one stood out to me. It's Zarathustra, song 465 from the Church Universal and Triumphant. Tell us about them.
This is the cult of Elizabeth Clare Prophet. She was an incredible individual within the latter years of the New Age movement in the 1980s. She was a direct channel to the Ascended Masters. She operated a religious cult in Montana. At a certain point, Ascended Master El Moria told her that the world was going to end from a nuclear holocaust. This was about 1989. She and her cult started digging into the mountain range of a certain area in Montana, completely destroying the environment to build an underground city or a series of underground chambers for the cult. And then when the appointed day came, when El Moria said Russia's going to send the bomb, nothing happened. And everyone realized that they had just lost their entire life savings to this woman. But Zarathustra is one of the Ascended Masters, and they did have these devotional songs, the Ascended, all like 500 of the Ascended Masters, or however many there are. And that one is probably my favorite.
The Ascended Masters is a common theme in these New Age traditions, right? What does it actually mean? Who are these Ascended Masters?
The Ascended Masters are a lineage of spiritual luminaries, been able to perceive the inner teachings, and they have spread the secret knowledge of the mechanics of the universe. This is all started from Theosophy. It originated with Helena Petrovna Blavatsky, the medium that co-founded the Theosophical movement, who was guided by 3 or 4 invisible masters. From that originated this concept of the Ascended Masters, started by Charles Ledbetter, who took over the Theosophical Society after Blavatsky ascended.
She become an Ascended Master or Mistress herself?
Absolutely, yes.
You've done this extraordinary thing. You're an archivist, effectively. You're an archivist of the music of cults, good, bad, very strange, some of them. And you're also bringing your theme, I suppose, to London in September, to the Horse Hospital. Tell us about this show that we're going to see. And
The show is called God Body. It's just a visual exploration of the New Age from the beginning in the 19th century to the dawn of the internet era, which I see as the beginning of the second wave of the New Age. So it really just focuses on, say, the 1830s to about the early 1990s, an exploration of imagery associated with the New Age during those years, illustrations, charts, diagrams, cosmologies, even advertising, some photographic documentation.
are you going to be doing any live events?
Yes, the opening we are going to have, I'm going to do a talk, but it'll also include a Q&A. And we're also going to have on another night, I'm going to be showing some videos of instructional films as well as documentaries from the New Age era, from various religions. And it'll be sort of like a video version of my radio show.
I'm going to put links to all that in the show notes. When you look around or survey the cultural landscape in America and here too, do you see, like, say, the devotion that lots of Americans have for Donald Trump as something cultish?
Definitely. I don't think the issue is so much about Trump. The reasons why we have these extremist cults now, like Trump, is because we've failed to address the needs of regular, normal people who don't make $1 billion a year. It's the same thing that happened in the 1930s in Germany. Hitler was a cult, and it's happening now on many different levels throughout the world. Trump is just one version, one head of a demigorgon that seems to be taking over the world.
One of the cults people probably most familiar with, Jim Jones, and another suicide cult. But you ferreted out, I've no idea from where, some of the music that was played live by the Jonestown Express, his own band. Tell us about that, and tell us about this song which people will recognize, but is given a particularly kind of poignant slant with what was about to happen.
That's a very deeply emotional and haunted recording. Jonestown Express was the in-house cabaret band in the Jonestown Cafe. So in between members having to listen to Jim Jones give these rants over loudspeaker all day while they performed various tasks to maintain the village, they were given a little downtime where they could sit and relax and listen to live music from the Jonestown Express. And those recordings were made just months prior to the massacre that occurred at the end of 1978. Yeah, that recording, of course, in light of what was to occur, deeply powerful. I mean, it speaks for itself. There's really nothing else I could say about it.
This song is dedicated to our mom. Everybody can give her a hand. That's right, I'll show our glasses back. I believe the children are our future. Teach them well and let them lead us away. Show them all the beauty they possess inside. Give them a sense of pride to make it easier. Let the children's laughter remind us how it used to be. I decided long ago never to walk in anyone's shadow. If I fail, if I succeed, at least I have lived as I believe. No matter what they take from us, they can't take away our dignity. Because the greatest love of all, what's happening to me, I found that greatest love of all inside.
One thing that I've wondered
of
about,
me.
because we mentioned it briefly, and obviously we haven't got time to go into it all, there is obviously connections between cults and conspiracies. Often cults have had conspiracy theories about the mainstream culture. One reason for holding on to a conspiracy theory is that feeling that it might give you that you have got the secret knowledge. You referred to this earlier, that you're not one of the sheeple who are marching in time. Even if you're not earning $1 billion, even if you're quite poor, even if your job's humdrum, it gives you some way of setting yourself apart, setting yourself aside from the mass out there. And that's a quite understandable, I think, that sort of motivation.
So one of the things that has happened post-internet is that now everyone can lock in to their own alternative belief system. Everyone has their own little agenda based on whatever alternative insight they might have to the mechanics, the inner workings of reality. And that is very dangerous. The more nonsense and fiction narratives that are put forth out there, the more it sort of grows exponentially amidst the public. But that's like one of the things that have occurred. Now everyone has a conspiracy theory based on whatever kind of information that they have gleaned off the internet. And then what they do is they put it back out there within whatever other kind of narrative that might be influencing them, whether it's like superhero kinds of narratives, World of Warcraft, gaming is a big part of it, cultural orientations that have informed these new conspiracy theories and continue to help them evolve.
Right, so the cult in some respects has gone online.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Let's just go back to the dark side one more time briefly. Heaven's Gate, but maybe you could tell us a little bit about that particular cult. And one of the people who began that was a professor, Marshall Applewhite, right? And pre those times, he made an album, which we're going to hear a bit from. But just tell us about Heaven's Gate and him.
So Heaven's Gate was one of the notorious UFO cults that emerged in the 1970s. They are mostly known for perpetrating a mass suicide in the middle 90s. When Marshall Applewhite declared that the comet Hale-Bopp was going to take them to the astral Holy Land, that Hale-Bopp was in fact a spaceship, and in order to board, they had to discard their bodies biologically, ride the tail of the comet in astral form. So that's what they did. And a lot of dead bodies wearing Nikes, blanketed in purple shrouds, were found the day after. Marshall Applewhite started out as a music professor of American universities, one of them being the University of Alabama. And that he got his students to perform, and they made a record together.
I like this one.
Yeah.
MICAH, we're going to end with one of your tunes, and I think we'll pick one that you loved, actually, and it's from the cult known as Ekankar. Just tell us about it. It's this track live stream, Take the Journey Home.
Well, it's funny because Ekankar is actually another offshoot of the same Sikhist philosophy known as Sant Mat. It's just that it's the Americanized version. The genius of Ekankar was that the founder, Paul Twitchell, who studied directly with a Sant Mat yogi, streamlined the Sant Mat teachings for the American public and created Ekankar, which became a really huge success in the 1970s. And they put out a number of records, these sort of weird private press, folky, jazzy records. And Livestream was one of them. And it's just this bizarre new age jazz record.
Take the journey home. It's up to you to ride upon the sound of love. Journey to the world within your heart. The way is clear and simple. All you must do is listen. The sound is there. All you must do is listen. The music is there. All you must do is just listen. The sound is there within your heart. The freedom that you seek is Ekankar. The way is clear and true.
The sound is love, and it's calling you.
Follow it and let it be your guide. Take the journey home. The time it's now to ride upon the waves of love. Journey to the world within your heart. The way is clear, so simple. All you must do is listen. The sound is there. All you must do is listen. The music is there. All you must do is listen. The sound is there within your heart. Take the journey home.
Micah, we've come to the end, and I've just wanted to ask you, are you sure you haven't got a secret desire to have your own cult still?
I'm content to just let whatever I do lend itself to whatever fate, destiny has in store for me, whether it's to reclaim my status as a cult leader or as an educator or an entertainer or as simply as an artist. That's fine with me. But I let destiny decide.
If you had a cult, what sort of music would soundtrack it?
The music of total silence, uninterrupted silence.
Micah, thanks very much for coming to the Bureau of Lost Culture.
Well, thank you so much, Stephen. Thanks for having me.
So, folks, for much more music of mind control and stories of strange esoteric goings-on in the New Age and beyond, check out Micah's show on WFMU. If you happen to be here in 2023 and in London, you can see his show Godbody at the Horse Hospital this September. Details in the show notes. I'd be very, very interested to hear from anyone who has joined a cult. Do let me know if that's you. Maybe we can interview you about it. I don't think we've had many cults in the UK, not recently anyway, and the ones that we have had seem to have been quite tame. I see that the Church of Scientology is still offering free personality tests on Tottenham Court Road though. Thanks for listening. Keep listening, helping us put the cult back in counterculture. See you, hear you next time.